Hey, and welcome to Bloodhammer. I'm Dan,
And I'm Dean.
and this week we wanted to talk to you a little bit about our love for Blood Angels. Last time we spoke quite a lot about the lore of them and kind of more of it, like why we like them from that side. Today we're just going to entirely talk about tabletop, why we collect them as an army, why we play them, and why I think they're one of the funnest factions to play, especially if you get them right.
Yeah. Little disclaimer I'm going to throw in before we do get into the nitty gritty of it is, as you might have guessed now by some of the videos we've released, we are not elitists, we are not conformists when it comes to having the best troops and the best armies. We will get things wrong. We play for the love of it, the camaraderie, the friendship, the laughter more than anything else. So if you are a diehard watcher, welcome, but also forgive any rules that we do get wrong. As I said, at the end of the day, for us, it's more about fun than anything else. So we do follow the letter of the basics of the rules. It's really in-depth, nitty-gritty stuff. So please just bear with us.
Yeah, we just kind of play to have fun, you know, and play to just enjoy the game. We don't take it too seriously. We often have a rule that if we come up against somebody who does play too seriously, we then just don't play them again, because it's all fun and games. You know, we take the rules seriously, but at the end of the day, it's a game.
You're meant to have fun, aren't you?
Yeah, you're meant to have fun. So yeah, we're just going to tell you a little bit more about why we play them on the tabletop. So why do we play Blood Angels as an army? I mean, we both heavily collect them. I mean, the majority of the table here is Dean's, apart from the big knight and some of my bikes and stuff. But for me personally, I picked them because I quite liked the lore when I first got into it. I liked kind of the idea of them, you know, space vampires and all that. But then as the more I got into it, I just quite like the army. I like the look of them. They've got some really cool characters, really cool little units. And the first unit that really caught my eye was the Sanguinary Guard. You know, the all gold, and I'm talking before the latest releases when they still had wings.
Oh, the proper boys.
Yeah, unlike these boys down here.
Axes and power fists.
Yes, very. And you could run a squad of 10 of them, and they were pretty lethal if you did get them into a fight.
Yeah.
You know, saving throw of 2+ was just unbelievable when you were going up against troops. But I just like the colour, as silly as it sounds. I feel like if you play Space Marines, you do just pick on what colour do you like.
Yeah, we are, like, I know myself, I'm not sure about you, I am very much a red fanboy, so red favourite colour, which my little man, my eldest son at home is very happy with. But yeah, it's just, they look sexy. I mean, just like the red, yeah, okay, I will admit, like the helmets, red with the blue helmet, red with the yellow helmet goes, and then I've just got pure reds as well. There are a few bits, but similar to Dan, they just look great. You've got the Sanguinary Guard, he said, beautiful in gold. They stick out a bit like a sore thumb compared to some of the other unit elites. Like you look at the Smurfs, the Victrix Guard, the dudes with shields.
Yeah.
They've got nothing that really stands them out. Okay, they're trying for the Romanesque, stand beside Caesar before I knife you. But you then got this. I mean, dudes with jump packs in bright gold. Yeah, okay, I do miss the wings. There was just something very unique about this firstborn Sanguinary Guard compared to what these guys are, a bit more unique. And as every Blood Angel player knows, can't forget the nipple armor.
Yes, it was very Roman, weirdly, in a way. It was very like 300 and Spartan and all that. But they are just
this is ball.
Yes, they're just a very interesting army. And like I said, some of the characters are really cool as well. They're one of the, I'd say, main Space Marine armies. Realistically, it's kind of, they're one of the ones along with Space Wolves and the Big Blue Girl Boys, Big Blue Boy Scouts, you know, along with the Ultramarines, and more recently, obviously, the Dark Angels. Obviously, they've had a big refresh, but the Blood Angels have been kind of one of those main armies, so they're updated fairly regularly. They've got like a decent amount of characters. Like, I love the Raven Guard. I really love the Raven Guard, but they currently have, I think, one character.
Yes. Survival Strike.
And then nothing else. And it's like, I love the White Scars as well. Obviously, I run bikes. I'd love to build a whole White Scars army, but I may as well just play a normal Ultramarine army and just have lots of bikes, because there's no characters to it. At least with this, you have Dante, you have Sanguinor.
You've got something to make it a bit unique, haven't you?
Yeah, and they've got some unique, you know, there's like the Sanguinary Priest. There's a decent amount of unique characters and models that you can use. You know, nothing like what they've just done with the Space Wolves in the latest release, but you know, they're a great army, and they're a good paint as well. Like, I just paint mine red, and then it's a bit of black accents, maybe a little bit of gold here and there. They're really straightforward and easy.
And even though it's red and you think, oh, there's not a lot you can do red, throwing in the odd orange here and there, 2 shades of orange, that's how you do for the edge highlighting the armor, can just make those armor panels pop. You've then got the blood wing symbol, Optimus, with the blood angels, bit of highlighting on the wings, bit of gloss onto that blood drop as well, just to make it shine. And like, there's just something about a fully painted blood red army on the table with a bright unit of gold that just draws the eye compared to a lot of the other things that I see out there on the tabletops.
Yeah.
They just attract the eye without really kind of even knowing why.
We get a lot of people like fawning over our models. If we play Blood Angel on Blood Angel, or even if it's like one of us playing, if it's me playing your Space Wolves,
or my Custodian Guard.
Because I've only got Blood Angels. I've started collecting Necrons as well, but I've only got Blood Angels mainly as like a 2,000 point army. But they are one of those armies because they are quite, you know, cool to look at, and there's quite a lot of different models. And like Dean said, Dean does his with, you know, a little bit of orange in there, a little bit brighter. I go a little darker and dirtier. You know, you can use the Flesh Tearers red or the Blood Angels red as the contrast. Bit of Nornor, and you can make them really dark and gritty. So there's a lot of different things you can do with them, but they're just quite cool, aren't they?
They are. So the Liberator Assault Group is quite a aggressive detachment. So it works really well if, like me, you are quite the aggressive, in-your-face player. You will find with any army when it comes to Warhammer, you'll have what people refer to as your meta army lists. You've got to have this, you've got to have that, you must have this. It's all bollocks. It really is. It's a game. Have what's fun. Like I still hear people on Facebook and everything that will still criticise your standard lonely little Mr. Intercessor. I bloody love the Intercessors.
Well, since they buffed them, that if you...
Oh, I know, 4 shots.
Yeah, if you target one enemy, you get double the shots. Since they've done that, now everybody wants to run.
But I use them for sticky. Like, when I helped Dan when Dan first got started into Warhammer, what you've got to do whenever you play a game is think of what you want every unit to do. Like, for me, I've got my units sort of sit in the background. So for me, it's my 2 tanks. I'll either run 2 Lancers or a Lancer and a Repulsor Executioner. I've got my little lovely Intercessors that will just run around capturing objectives because they've got sticky objective. My Assault Intercessors, my Jump Packs who are flying off somewhere sunny on holiday, they'll be my screen. My Work Boys, Sanguinary Guard. Love the Sanguinary Guard. They're there to make you bleed and wish you didn't show up for the game. That's their job. With the Liberator Assault Group, you want to get your melee out units into combat as quickly as you can. Every time you charge, you will get +1 attack to your standard attack. So if you look at someone like Dante, for example, Dante has got a base of 8 attacks. So every time you charge, it's 9 attacks. So 9 dice. For anyone new wondering what the hell I'm prattling on about, you need 9 dice instead of 8 dice. You get an extra 2 strength, so his base strength on the Axe Mortalis is 8, jumps up to strength 10. So for a standard Space Marine, it's a 2 to win. So he's literally like weak to a scythe. I've wiped out many of a unit against Dan, against Matt or George, who are our other 2 friends. Hi guys! I've wiped out many of a unit of theirs just with Dante.
Yeah.
Like every single time you can literally hear the Sanguinary Guard. You stand there going, why the bloody hell do we even show up to this?
Yeah.
We don't do anything.
We played a 4,000 point game recently where we did basically search and destroy. We had bombs on the table, and
game.
And we did Blood Angels versus Orcs because George and Matt play Orcs, and we brought pretty much 4,000 points of our own army. And at one point, Dante and the Sanguinary Guard were just absolutely laying into the equivalent of an Orc tank, just on his own, just absolutely battering through it. I think at one point George and Matt had 4 separate units around the Sanguinary Guard, and I think by the end of it there was 1, and I think it was the tank. They are unbelievably hard hitting when it comes to melee. The weapons they've got such a good range of kind of weapons when it comes to different things that you want to use. and they just hit hard. And with Dante especially, they are unbelievable. I mean, he's got some really cool abilities.
He does.
He's got a decent amount of wounds. His save's 2+ as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's got an invuln save as well.
4+ invuln.
4+ invuln save. So
yeah,
you know, he's got a 4+ invulnerable save. So there's not a lot that can really do that much damage to him. And the Sanguinary Guard, again, working with that specific detachment rule, they just bang. Like, they are really, really good, and they're horrible because these are a deep strike unit. Realistically, you play them a lot as deep strike.
Yeah.
So you'll wait until turn 2 or 3, and then suddenly these just appear 9 inches from your group, and you're thinking, oh god. And then you start pairing it with some of the abilities of the Sanguinor, gets even worse, especially if you're on the other side of it, which I have been many a time.
Yeah. With Dante's extra ability that every time you charge, it's just that +1 to your wound roll. So you deploy deep strike within 9 inches, you only need an 8+. And it's, as long as the guard of the dice are with you, it's pretty much a guaranteed charge every single time. And if you've got a sneaky little CP hiding away, or if you don't and you've got a captain to utilise a 3 CP stratagem, well, you get a chance of reroll. And touch wood, I think my Sanguinary Guard is one of the only ones I've never failed a test for. And man, have I just jinxed our next game.
Yeah, you have jinxed our next game.
Damn, I shouldn't have said that. But still, you will find your way. Like, I am quite an aggressive melee player. Like I said, a lot of my army, when I feel that I've got my Sanguinary Guard, I will field 10 jump packs. I will usually field 5 to 10 assault intercessors. I've also now started recently using the Sanguinor. My back line is only really defended by 2 tanks, by my intercessors, who are just there to capture objectives, by my Hellblasters if I just fancy taking them just for a whirl, because I do love them. I used, I did
before they got
love
kind of
Death
nerfed.
Company.
Yeah.
It wasn't, yeah.
When we started playing, you like Death Company were horrific because you used like assault Death Company intercessors,
jump pack Death Company,
and
10
with their feel
plasma
no
pistols,
pain.
10 power fist. What? I mean, 10 guys just constantly fisting you. What more could you not want on a Friday night?
Yeah, true. Actually,
I know.
That's a very good point.
But it works for my playstyle. That's how I am. Whereas Dan, he'll go through his shortly. He plays a little bit different, but you'll find your own way. Don't bow to the meta. I've used many of a unit, played it in a game, and just gone, why the hell do people like these? And they've never seen the light of day again. Like for me, Terminators. No. Big Boy. No, I don't like Big Boy. He does. I don't.
I love the Knights. Knights are really cool, and I do want to make an entire Knight army at some point, just more for the memes. But Knights are great, but that's like 495 points. My tank that's over there and my tank that's here, that's like 160 points. You can have borderline almost 3 tanks that all have the ability, and we've both done it to one-shot stompers. Because we did do it in that 4,000 point game. We did one-shot stomper from one tank that's like a third of the cost of the Knight. And it's the same with the Terminators. We will never stop bitching about the fact that Terminators have no armor piercing. It is the most annoying thing in the world.
I've got a great idea. I'm going to give the most bog standard intercessor a machine gun that gives -1 AP because, you know, standard line guys. But don't worry, chapter elite, you know, the backbone of the chapter. Here's a gun, but you might as well just throw the bloody gun at them because it's useless.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I will say,
I'm not bitter.
No, you're not. We're not bitter. I was very not bitter when I bought 10 Terminators and then realised they were shit. But I will say, Terminators with melee weapons though. Terminators with melee weapons slap because they can deep strike. Most of them can have thunder hammers or axes or power fists, and they are actually can they? They can have power. No, they can have power. And then they've got shields as well, which helps with the.
And just take a split second to have a look at the firstborn Blood Angels Assault Terminators.
Yeah, they're good.
Beautiful models. Beautiful. So I do have a squad of 10, fully with thunder hammer. Yeah, all with Storm Shield. They are lovely. I don't get them out much just because they're the slowest thing in my army.
Yeah, they only
just
move
don't
what,
use
5 inches?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
they're good for certain things, but the Sanguinary Guard can advance a lot
Yeah,
quicker.
I'll have the Sanguinary Guard.
Compared to Dean, I play a lot differently. I don't really have too many Blood Angels characters or things in my army, which sounds weird playing Blood Angels, but I do love playing Blood Angels. I play Gladius Task Force, which is kind of similar to Red Thirst in a way. You have 3 doctrines that you can use, and I found the best way to use those is with my bikes, which Dean found out the first time I actually discovered what to do with the bikes, and it is filthy. It is purely disgusting.
The excitement I heard in those WhatsApp voice notes will stay with me for years.
Yeah, it was, and the first game.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
And the first game I played against Orcs, when I wiped about 4 squads in one turn with just the bikes and only lost 1 bike, it was a similar thing. But I play that way. I like to be quite hard and fast in my advancing. I have a decent back line of Hellblasters because they're just amazing to have on your back line.
Yeah.
They are very much like a sentry unit. I use heavy intercessors, which again, I've got heavy on them. So, you know, if you just sit and leave them, you're hitting on a 2. And they've got some really good other stuff as well. Like some of their weapons can do like 2 damage with -2 AP. Insane. And then the crown of my jewel recently, as like I said, it's been my 7-man bike squad because I run a chaplain as well that was kit bashed for me by a friend of mine. And it's a similar thing in terms of the Red Thirst, which is why I think I kind of get away with it a little bit in terms of, you know, it adds to, if you use the right doctrines and you use the right things on your warlords and your character models, you can get increased attacks, damage, depending on, I think the chaplain actually gives you it's if you charge with the bikes you get additional damage. But it's like, if I charge them in with the right doctrine, I can be adding, you know, another 3 attacks plus to the wound roll, more damage, and I think it's 2 or 3 strength added on top. So all of a sudden a standard chainsword, which is strength 4, goes to strength 6, which means if it goes against any standard Space Marine, you're hitting on a 3. And I think I've also got something that means, I add 1 to the wound roll, so then I'm actually hitting on 2s. It's disgusting. But that's the nice thing about the Blood Angels. You can kind of play them how you want. They're very much a melee focused army. And a lot of the main characters and main units are very melee focused, but they've got some really cool little abilities in there. You know, the Sanguinor, you can deep strike, what is it, to 3 inches?
Engagement range. Yeah,
engagement
so you've
range.
got to wait. If you're on the receiving end of a charge, you literally drop the Sanguinor into engagement range. And again, as I understand the rules with it, is that because your opponent, as you say, an opponent declares a charge into the assault intercessors, the Sanguinor drops in. He's got fight first, so Sanguinor will lay into the squad, then that squad will fight, but they can only fight into the intercessors because that was their deployment, that was their target of the charge. So you've just dropped the Sanguinor in, who's then going to turn around and batter you for 8 attacks at AP -3, strength 6, 2 damage each. So most things on the tabletop
Die.
On a fail is just dead anyway.
Yeah.
He's got devastating wounds, so pretty much an auto kill without a feel no pain anyway. So I did it against Orcs in our 4,000 point game, got charged by a 10-man squad and he killed 6 of them.
Yeah.
So then I've gone from being on the receiving end of 9 orc choppers and 1 Pinsy Claw to, I killed 6, so I was left with 3 choppers and a claw.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We love them because it's a Space Marine army at the end of the day. They're all kind of sort of interchangeable, realistically. You can kind of do whatever you want with them. But having units like the Sanguinary Guard, like the Death Company, like a lot of the other things, I mean, you've got the Battle Predator as well, the tank. You know, there's some really good, and like Sanguinary Priest, and like there's some really cool little models to change how you play. But at the same time, you can kind of modify it and just play them in your own way. But I think if you like melee, but you also like shooting as well, because if you just like melee and you want to play Space Marines, just get Space Wolves. I've played against them a lot. They suck ass to play against, especially when you've got wolves that have an attack and then the guy on the back has an attack and you just die.
Hey, don't hate on the Thunderwolf Cavalry.
I'm gonna hate on the Thunderwolf Cavalry until the end of my days. But point being is, there's a lot you can do with them. That's a bit about like how we play them and why we like them. Like I said, Dean's more of a traditionalist in terms of he actually uses a lot of the characters and a lot of the things with it. You do run a lot of characters. The majority of my characters I just like lieutenants and captains, and like I've got a jump pack captain as well. Whereas Dean does actually run, you know, Mephiston, Dante, and Sanguinor. Dante is in everyone. But to be fair, if you ever get the chance to play somebody that plays Blood Angels and they use Dante, you will get annihilated by him at some point because he's sick.
Run and shoot.
Yeah, just fall back and shoot as much as you can. But yeah, we do love them. So we spoke a lot about different models and kind of why we play Blood Angels, but one thing we've mentioned quite a bit in the video is the characters. They've got quite a few really strong characters, not only Dante and the Sanguinor, but you know, you've got the Sanguinary Priest, you've got Lamates, and they're all quite unique in their own ways. They are, yeah.
Like for example, you've got Chief Librarian Mephiston, or Little Calistarius. If you ever listen to the audiobook, you'll know what I mean by that. For example, the original model of him was, well, before the new codex was brought out, he could lead a squad of the assault intercessors. His newer model, which I prefer this post to the original model. There's just something about it. And they've remembered the famous nipple armor.
Yes, they have.
As well,
on
like
this
the
one.
very aggressive nipples on his armor there, Mephiston. You're obviously very excited to be slaying heretics. But like he's got the lone operative stat, which means you've got to be within 12 inches to shoot him, which he's not someone you really want to get within 12 inches of. He's got fight first, which I've mentioned before, but all that means is you charge him, he gets to hit you before you can even hit him. And then he gets to hit you again when it's your opponent's turn that you've just gone and charged anyway. And then when it's your fighter that phase, he still gets to fight you first because of the name. So you're always on the receiving end of him. He's got 4+ Feel No Pain, which is very, very useful. 5+ invulnerable save. For me, as much as I think he's a great model, I don't like using him for the simple fact that his damage output I find to be pretty unreliable. It's a D3 damage. Now, if you're not sure what D3 is a 1 on a 2 on a dice is 1, 3 and a 4 is a 2, and a 5 and a 6 is a 3. So off his base attacks, which I believe off the top of my head is 6 attacks he's got, it might be 8. But let's just go with 6 in case I'm wrong. Off his base 6 attacks, let's just say you hit all 6, you wound all 6, you then roll, you're potentially just doing really terrible damage. I think if he was a base of 2 damage per attack, he'd be an auto include every single time for me, without fail. Dante, that we've touched up on before, 4+ invulnerable save. The Axe Mortalis at strength 8, AP -3, 2 damage, 8 attacks, pure lethal hits, so every 6 is an automatic wound. Whatever squad he's with, which is always going to be the Sanguinary Guard, +1 to the charge, +1 to advance, +1 to attack, so Sanguinary Guards for their Angelus bolt guns hits on a 3. Stick Dante, you're hitting on 2, so you're hardly ever really missing. The Death Mask of Sanguinius, anything within 6 inches has to take a battle shot. The thing I don't like about Dante, or I think lets him down, he's the Regent of Imperial Nihilus. He's in control of half the galaxy. He's still only toughness 4.
Yeah, you find that often with a lot of these characters, if they're not like a Primarch, which we play Blood Angels, our Primarch is dead. There's no Primarch for us, and it should be Dante because realistically, he's one of the oldest Space Marines. He's the leader of the chapter.
1,000 years old.
Yeah, they could buff him up a little bit. I mean, the guy refuses to die and constantly gets visions from Sanguinius himself, blessing the man and being like,
"God damn it! Don't put me in a dreadnought."
Yeah, sorry, kid, you can't die. You have to go fight some more. And it's really annoying for chapters like us. And I mean, you think about like the Imperial Fists as well. And if you play Iron Hands, which I don't actually know if I've ever seen anybody play Iron Hands, but I have seen a lot of people playing Imperial Fists. We don't have a Gilliman. We don't have a Lion. If you're playing the Traitors, we don't have a Mortarion or a Magnus the Red or anybody like that. You just kind of it does kind of suck a little bit because
whenever I've played someone, they've always gone, "Oh, what's the toughness of Dante?" I'm just like, 4. Like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I understand it in a respect. He is just a dude in golden armor, but his status alone, Imperial Regent of half the Imperium, he is in control of Nihilus. I don't care what you say, Abaddon. It's his. But come on, even if it's like strength, toughness 5, just a little bit of a boost. Make him a
Yeah.
little bit more than going, oh, he's as difficult to wound as this dude in red, who's nameless Joe.
Well, the funny thing is, the heavy intercessors that I mentioned that I run, they're toughness 6.
Yeah.
They're,
Because they're gravis armor.
They're toughness 6 because they're in gravis armor. My bikes are toughness 5
Yeah.
or 6 as well. So the bikes and the heavy intercessors have a better toughness rating than the dude who keeps getting brought back to life by the dead Primarch soul.
I mean, like, the dude literally took a Swarm Lord's blade through his body in the devastation of Baal, and you could practically just hear Sanguinius going, "Wake up!"
Yep.
I think he wakes up with a Sanguinary priest's hand inside of his guts, trying to hold him back together. Or something.
Yeah, that tracks.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah. And we mentioned obviously with the Sanguinor the kind of deep strike ability that he's got, just being able to drop in, fight first in engagement range. I mean, like Dean said, he used it against the Orcs, and it is sickening because it means he's immediately in the fight. He's on the charge as well. And I mean, he gets fight first, so it doesn't matter what you say. And he's got enough decent weaponry that he will just, especially if you're dropping him in against things like Orcs or standard Marines or anything that's kind of base standard. Anything that's kind of chaff or standard amongst a lot of these armies, he's just going to annihilate. And it's such a cool thing when he's just like, right, bang, there's the Sanguinor, you're dead.
Like, okay, the only downside you can say for the Sanguinor, he's got no gun. He's got the Blood Chalice, which has got the last collected drops of Sanguinius' blood in it. He's got the Encarmine blade for dicing and slicing on foes. He doesn't have a gun. He doesn't need it. His entire lore and backstory is just dropping in on wings to support beleaguered Blood Angels units across the entire bloodline. So he doesn't need a gun. He's got the lone operative ability, similar to the Mephiston. So you wipe out a squad if there's no one within 12 inches. Who cares that you don't have a gun? Come your next turn, the dude moves 12 inches, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to be within melee range of someone.
Yeah.
Liberate assault group, bang, there's some more heads chopped off shoulders. It just works. He's a decent all-round model. You've then also got, as we said, Lamartis, the Guardian of the Lost, the guy that you want backing up all of your death company. I've always used Lamartis, even back on Firstborn. One of my favourite models was that Lamartis Firstborn model. Lovely, lovely model. The guy is a bit like Mephiston. He's just complete raging daddy issues, but unlike Mephiston, he's not been to counselling. He still has his raging daddy issues. He's also got a 4+ invulnerable save, lethal hits on the Blood Crozius, his melee weapon, but he gives his entire squad lethal hits. So you think of 10 Death Company, all with lethal hits. They all have he's got a 6+ feel no pain. But also the squad that he's with, he's -1 damage. So if you get someone that does 2 damage to your squad, it's now only 1 damage. Obviously you can't -1 from 1. Damage has to be made, but 2 damage down to 1. So instead of going, you've done 10 damage, I've lost 5 Marines. Well, actually, no, you haven't.
No, you've only done 5. And it's similar with, obviously, we mentioned the Death Company. I think kind of nowadays the main people that you do see a lot of Blood Angels players run is the Sanguinary Guard with Dante, because they did massively buff them while minusing 4 models from them. You used to be able to run a 10-man squad, now you can only run a 6-man squad. So they did buff them up a lot. And Death Company got nerfed pretty hard when they did it. I mean, they increased the amount of points that each of them cost, and they went from being something that was like in every Blood Angels player's army.
Backbone of my army,
they were the backbone of your army, to being kind of lowered a bit because all of a sudden they're more expensive, so you can't have as many of them. The Sanguinary Guard are now, they've got more wounds, they've got better weapons, they just hit. And the Death Company, I mean, to be fair, they've got some cool things. I mean, you can re-roll the hit roll on all your attacks, which is pretty good. And also you can re-roll charge rolls, which again is pretty handy. They've got a feel no pain of 6+.
On deep striking, failed that bloody roll.
Just keep going. Yeah. But they've got a feel no pain of +6 as well. But apart from that, they're kind of just standard Marines. I mean, they've got some cool weapons, but for the increased points cost, I think a lot of people would have rather just taken standard Marines.
I would,
Rather than, I mean, I'm just looking here. I mean, Death Company Marines, just a standard lot of 5 is 85 points. The ones with jump packs are 130. I mean, 130 points when, I mean, what is the standard squad? I don't even think it's that, is it? The standard jump pack squad, I don't think it's 130 points.
20, I think it is.
90.
Oh, there we go. So I was even off.
So it's a 40-point difference between standard, assault intercessors with jump packs, which I run. They are pretty great models already. And again, if you have the right detachment with them, either the Gladius Task Force,
and with their ability that you charge in, and you do devastating wounds every time they charge in,
something
as well.
Yeah,
the Death Company don't even get.
Yeah,
it makes up for it.
That was the point. Is you could have 2 squads. You could have a 10-man squad of assault intercessors, it's 180 points. Or you could have that with Death Company, it's 260.
Yeah.
It's with that 260, that additional 80 points is a character model.
Yeah.
And that's the things you've got to think about when you're balancing your army, is not only the balance of what you've got, but you need characters. I run, like I said, captains, lieutenants, chaplains. I've got my chaplain on a bike. If you've then got to sacrifice potentially one of those, just because you want to run the Death Company, I mean, I feel like before they brought out the new Blood Angels, they were definitely worth it because they were a lot cheaper to have in your army. But then they massively increased the points cost of them, and they've kind of dropped out of the. I hate the word the meta, but they kind of were meta for a while.
If it makes sense as well, ever since they've changed them, they've just not felt right. It's gone from a unit, like for me anyway, I'm not sure if any other Blood Angel players have felt the same, but it's gone from a unit that's been reliable for me, like I could drop tanks, walkers, dreadnoughts, the hardest infantry with barely a problem, with very few in the way of losses, to I've got the new models, I fail the charges, I don't get the same damage output in melee. Okay, I know I've dropped from a pure power fist layout to fists, eviscerators, chainswords now, so yeah, I'm gonna see a damage output different, but it's just everything about them feels different. Like, okay, you could put Ashtoreth the Grimmin, who gives devastating wounds out, but I'd rather have Lamartis. The dude's just a psychopath, and the model looks cool.
The model is
there were some people out in the community that thought the model looked a bit naff. I thought it looked bloody great, to be honest. I really did.
And that's the thing, is they've kind of dropped out a little bit, but they're still. I mean, the models are really cool. Yeah. And a lot of the specific, like the dreadnoughts, and there was a Death Company librarian, but they got there was the Librarian Dreadnought, which was a great model. I love that. You had that.
Yeah, where unfortunately he is Legends now, if you want to look him up, but basically him and a squad within 12 inches, I think, only one squad, you could basically pick up and teleport across the table. Yeah. So it was great fun just to simply go, haha, I used to use it with my aggressors, a full 6-man aggressor squad with a captain in Gravis armor, aggressors with Flamestorm gauntlets, dual power fists, and just drop them behind enemy lines on turn 2. Yeah. Then deep strike in on turn 3, and I owned the back lines of every one of my opponents. It was good fun for me, not so much you guys. No. But very good fun for me. Obviously that went into Legends, but even like the Death Company Dreadnought, the old rule for the Death Company Dreadnought, you hit it, he hit back, you shot him, he shoot back, it's just a Brutalis with a Vilna paint now. Yeah. And if you shoot him, he can move, I think it's 3 inches towards you. If you're going to do it, give us the same rule that the World Eaters get. He can move 6 inches towards, but every single time that he's shot, he can move towards. You can do it once, no matter how many times he's shot. It's a bit lackluster. Yeah. But, like I said, the characters are kind of a big backbone of Blood Angels, and they do open you up to quite a few different play styles, whether you want to go Death Company, whether you want to go Sanguinary Guard, whether you want to just drop them in with normal models. I mean, the Sanguinary Priest, I mean, he's really just a standard chaplain stroke priest. You know, he's a standard model that you can run with pretty much every other, well, most of the other main units. I mean, so that's the thing, they really help change up how you play. And again, like I've said before, compared to some of the other legions, you do actually get a good amount of unique models for the Blood Angels. You know, like I said, I love the Raven Guard. They've got 1. You know, you look at the Iron Hands, I think they've got 1 as well. The White Scarves, I think they've got 1 or 2. It just, at least with this, you've got some options. So, obviously we talked a lot about Blood Angels, we spoke about the lore in the last one, and we kind of wanted to just give you more of an overview today of kind of why we play them, why we like playing the Blood Angels. And hopefully, if you've come across this video and you want to know a little bit more about what they're actually like to play, might help you out. You might decide to go out and get a couple.
I'd highly recommend it because they are quite a cool army. But
they really
we are incredibly biased.
We are. And I just thought as well, we'd take a quick moment just to, in case anyone's missed the news, the pre-orders that are coming up this weekend. So we've got the coming out on Saturday for pre-order on the Games Workshop website. You've got the chapter approved mission deck, which I'm going to admit I'm a little bit frustrated about. It took me ages to get hold of the prior Nexus deck, and now they're bringing out another one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think I've done a dozen games on the prior Nexus deck yet.
If that, really.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I'm going to try and get this one a little bit sooner.
Yep.
They've got the Warhammer 40,000 Crusade Armageddon, which is supposed to be a whole new Crusade book, new missions and everything. I will admit I've never tampered with this side of things. I might try and get it just so I can explore a bit more into it. Some new terrain coming out, some Battle Zone, Manufactorum, if I can read my handwriting, terrain. Also, Black Library's bringing out Belisarius Core, the Great Works novel. From what I've heard, it's supposed to be a very, very good book, actually. I've seen a bit of an extract of Belisarius calling the Emperor actually having a bit of a chinwag. So I might invest in that, and I don't think there's anything else coming out this weekend, is there? Oh, wait! Yes, there is! Wolves are out!
It'd be good if you didn't throw the mic.
Sorry about that. Yes, the Space Wolves are coming out this weekend. So the Space Wolf Army set, RRP I've heard is 145. Though double check that with obviously your own local shops prior to ordering. But yeah, that's all your pre-orders for this weekend. If you're really sad like me, I will be jumping in on Wolves.
You will be. I will not be. As usual, thanks to SWS, Shrewsbury War Games Society, for letting us film here and play here and everything. And thanks to Timecast Models, Mark over there. I've actually just been in and got some paints for my kill team.
I've got my Wolves on pre-order with Mark already as well.
You do. Drop him an email. It's on the website. I'll put it in the description as well. If you want to get anything, super cool dude, really good with kind of advice and stuff as well. He was giving me some advice on some paints. So definitely worth reaching out to. But thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. We're trying to push on and get a bit more of an audience, so every little helps. And we'll catch you next time.
Thank you very much.